Alright, I'm going to make this as quick as humanly possible because this topic is old, but I just can't get this nagging feeling out of my head. So I'm hoping that sharing it online with strangers might exorcise these demons. Let's give it a go, shall we? We all know Amber Bennett, and as much as we know Amber Bennett, we all know how much hate she gets as a character. Now, if you ask 95% of people why she's so hated, whether they are actively participating in the hate or just aware of it, they all point in the same direction. That's one moment you are probably thinking of right now.
Did you hear what I just said?
I know you're a superhero.
You know.
Yup, that moment. But what if I told you that's not the reason? What if I told you are just a racist bigot who needs to get his shit to... Nah, I kid. I kid. But seriously, what if I told you that the reason she's so despised is actually another line from that same scene? But before I tell you the line that really broke her character, we need to understand who Amber is written to be. Because a lot of people act like she's a terribly written character. She's not. She actually has a very consistent
Amber,
personality throughout the season. Now, you can say she's not a likable person, and that's totally fine. But it's pretty obvious who she is from the very first time we see her. From the jump, she's confident, adamant, strong-willed. She stands her ground, verbally fights back against unwanted attention, shuts down her oppressor with zero hesitation. And then Mark, being the kind-hearted, selfless hero that he is, steps in to protect her, even though he doesn't stand a chance. Because, in his own words,
maybe you can just sit back and watch this? I can't.
so he heroes up, walks right up to Flash Thompson and reads him the riot act. But ironically, it was Amber who did the saving. Now, for the untrained eyes, they will think, a classic case of she doesn't need a savior. But it's more than that. It's the start of a reoccurring theme in their relationship throughout the show. A part of their dynamic that the writers intentionally put in without fully understanding the ramifications, which is Amber always comes out on top. If you actually watch closely in almost every interaction, Amber tends to lead while Mark co-signs, playing into this nice guy stereotype who has no idea how to go about dating, which to be fair is a pretty accurate representation of a lot of teenagers. Think about it, she's the one who makes the first move. Mark never really gets the girl in the traditional sense. Amber is the one who approaches him. Then when Mark calls her, you see it again. She always dominates the flow of the conversation. It's never Mark taking charge. Instead, Amber sets the pace, validating him in this playful, condescending way. She's
An
literally
honest
patting him on the
man.
back,
I
saying,
like
"Good
that.
job, you gave it your best," instead of meeting him at his level. And the writers keep reinforcing this. Every time you expect Mark's heroic side or his growth as a character to win him some ground with her, the show pivots back to Amber putting him in his place. She always has the last word. She always recenters the spotlight on herself anytime she's with Mark. And this pull is what originally annoyed fans. But I'll say this any day. That doesn't make her a bad character, just an annoying teenager. And that's allowed. I went through all of that to say Amber is a very consistent character. So consistent, in fact, that when she drops that line, the outrage isn't really because she's poorly written. It's actually more of a how dare she moment, which would have been excellent, brilliant even, if that was what the writers were going for. But it wasn't. And how do we know that? Because of Mark's response to her.
We're fighting because you lied to me.
Secret identity.
And because you don't trust me.
I'm trusting you now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm willing to bet my master's degree tuition that if Mark's response hadn't been so defensive, if he had actually pushed back the way he deserved to, Amber would have come off as an amazing character. In fact, his pushback could have turned into an amazing subplot. Imagine Mark finally drawing a line, finally asserting himself, not in a toxic way, but in a way that showed he wasn't just a pushover. Why am I so confident in this? Because Amber Bennett is very similar a character to Mark's mom, and she doesn't come off as annoying or oppressive, probably because she's married to a psychopath, but also because during his parents' interaction, there's a lot of mutual bickering and playful banter that just wasn't replicated here because the writers got carried away with not making Amber a damsel in distress. Debbie was the perfect balance of that, and if Mark could have responded that one time, it would have looked like all those other moments were leading to that one clapback. But no, we get a doormat and a bully. And do you know what happens to bullies?
Get what you fucking deserve!